Hello, and welcome to the live hangout for the month of September. I'm here with a couple patrons, and more I am sure will show up. So, yeah, we're here just doing our hangout thing. So, more people will probably show up, but until then, yeah, here we are. Oh, there we go. Okay. Um, Let me tweet this in case anyone wants to watch. All right, we're getting somewhere. So what's up, guys?
Much.
The hangout's going great.
Literally done nothing but laundry all weekend, so.
Oh God, that sucks. that's like the life, isn't it? Like part of doing life things.
Thankfully, I'm almost done. I've got like a couple more loads to do, and then I'll be done.
I see. I find it weird and kind of disturbing how large my Patreon or no, my Google Hangouts thing, like my tab for Google Hangouts was like massive, and it was making me really weirded out. Made me look really creepy and huge and brainy. So.
My mom saw it.
Oh, you did?
My mom did.
Oh, your mom did. Cool.
She went and saw it with
What'd
my
she
little
think?
brother. She's like,
Yeah?
wasn't that scary?
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess not.
She's like, it was really silly. And I was like, what about the dancing part? She's like, oh my god.
Yeah, it was the best. I think that kind of gets
distracted. She was more distracted by the fact that the clothing wasn't really 80s. It was more like late 70s. I'm like, well, they're 10. They're not in charge of their clothes. It's their parents. So it's like, whatever their parents think they would look nice in or whatever.
There's this interesting thing, too, where apparently the book has a lot... It goes a little bit more into, like, the impoverished nature of the town.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you know, they probably don't have money for, like, real clothes or, like, good clothes. So it's probably just, you know, crap.
Handmade or whatever.
Yeah.
Handmade or bought from like a Goodwill or something like that, or whatever the 70s or 80s equivalent of Goodwill was.
Yeah, or like a hand-me-down or something like that. So that's kind of interesting. Hello, chat. Did you see Mother yet?
No.
That's fine.
I couldn't afford to.
That's fine. I'll try my best not to talk about it that much. Even though I know people are going to ask me about Mother, which is fine because
I've already seen reviews on it and stuff. Like, I don't get spoiled when it comes to movies. I have like a weird short-term memory where I'm just like, oh, okay, oh yeah, that movie that I heard about 30 times and haven't clicked in yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the reason everybody's talking about it is just that it's like weird, confusing, and kind of making people angry. Hello, new person that's shown up.
Hey, Mason.
Welcome. How you doing?
Yeah, things are going good. It's like 7 at night down here.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I tried to time this so that it's like, you know, overseas can do this too. But yeah, well, cool. Anyway, what were we talking about? Mother? Yeah, I don't know. I think people are just kind of angry about it because of the way that the creators are going about talking about it. It's not like, I think the movie in and of itself is like if you knew nothing about it, okay, it's still pretty ham-fisted in a lot of ways, but like if you knew nothing about it, I think you might be able to gather something kind of connected from it. Like it would be a decent-ish like experience. I mean, um, I saw it with Skellyfish, and she was profoundly affected. She thought it was incredibly good. And then we found out about what it was about, and then it like fell right apart.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It sucks because I really do want to like it. I want to like what it's saying, but I also like I've come to believe in a sort of way that it's not very super honest about things. I think that it's like it has these like fever dreamish qualities to to how things could be in certain circles, but I'm trying really hard to be vague. It's not helping. But I do kind of wonder if I was being exploited in the theater and it was trying to make me feel like I was in more danger than I was, like, or that there was more danger, more cynicism towards the world, um, than there is. But I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting because I certainly felt like shit in the theater and like I needed to question my entire life. But now I'm like, I don't know, it might be bullshit. Maybe the movie's bullshit. That's fine. It's easier to think that something's bullshit than to actually like react to it and try to change your life. But I don't know. It's worth. I think that there are some good and interesting qualities to it, but overall, I think it's just the weirdest time now because of the way that it's been talked about. Welcome to the chat. Man, I don't know. Maybe that's intimidating. Maybe I should give it like a second before after somebody joins and then be like, hello, welcome. Not just talk to them immediately when they get here because then it's like, oh God, I'm put immediately on the spot. Welcome to the.
Am I intruding? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sort of like when you walk into class late and they're like, oh, I'm glad you showed up finally. And it's like,
Yeah.
in the back like I always do.
Leave me the hell alone.
Ignore me.
Oh God, people are noticing me. Please don't kill me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Back in a quick second.
Okay. Cool. Oh, and there they go. And down they go. But anyway.
Oh, there.
Back, not back.
Funny.
Oh, hello. What's up?
So,
Sorry, I'm like checking everything to make sure that everything is still operating properly in the back end. Yeah, it's good. Anyway, so wow, did we exhaust all of the conversations we could have possibly had? Like, we talked about it briefly. We talked about Mother. Is that the only interesting shit that's happened in the last like month? Like, what's going on?
Well, no, we could talk about Toby Hooper, but
oh yeah,
then I get sad.
Yeah, and then just get sad and depressed about it.
What's about Toby Hooper?
Well, he died. Did you hear?
Oh shit! Fuck! Oh right. I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, it's like, oh God, did I tell you something you didn't want to know? I'm sorry, your grandfather. No, it sucks though because I really liked him. I really love his movies. But like all of his movies, even the ones that aren't very good. I know. Yeah, I know I need to see that. But
William Finley, like eating the scenery, just
okay. Sounds very great. But I love all of Toby Hooper's movies, even like his really weird and not very good ones. Like I don't know if you guys have seen Life Force, but Life Force is a movie about astronauts that find an alien species that turns out to be vampires, space vampires, that they bring to Earth, and then the vampires cause the end of the world.
This sounds like my kind of movie.
Yeah, and the vampire lady is 100% fully naked the entire movie, and she's running around sucking people's like soul out of their face. It's the weirdest movie. It's so weird. I don't know why. Why is she naked the whole movie? I don't know. It's very weird and kind of exploitation-y. Like, why was that okay? I don't know. But yeah, that one's interesting. Failing to remember his other weird ones that I really like. He has a lot of weird ones that I like. He directed some like late term movies that weren't super good. Oh well, Texas Chainsaw 2.
In the early days, there was Eaten Alive.
Yeah, that's a weird one. That Rachel was just talking about that one. Rachel's familiar with that.
Like in the earlier years, like I think it was like even before Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and that looked like it was his version of Psycho, sort of a thing, where it was like Psycho but on the bayou.
It's actually shortly after is when that was released, so like within a year or two. But that's interesting. Yeah, I haven't seen his like previous stuff. I haven't seen Eggshells or whatever. The Funhouse is pretty awesome. I don't know if you guys have seen that. That movie is pretty crazy, and I really like it. He has well, he did Body Bags, which I've never actually seen, but I hear is interesting.
I've seen it.
Oh, you did?
He did
Yeah.
one excerpt in it. Yeah, he didn't do the entire thing. He did one excerpt.
Oh, well, that's
the one he did was like about an eye, like that was it belonged to like a killer, and it was like implanted into this NASCAR driver's head, I think, because he lost his eye in a racing accident, I think. So
wow.
He had to have it transplanted, and he became like this kind of killer. And I'm like, that doesn't seem like him at all. I don't know why. Like the insanity part of it, it kind of looks like a Toby Hooper production or direction thing.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like anything else he's done. So
yeah, it's just he got weird in so many different like varied ways. Like it's just he was always like.
But that's a good thing sometimes.
Yeah. There's this story about him in like the like early 70s, like late 60s, early 70s. He was in, I think, now I'm probably going to butcher this story, but pretty much what it is like he was in film school and there were some sort of protests going on or something like that. And he would go with his 16 millimeter film camera and run down and film at the hospital, like where people were being taken in for having like, gunshot wounds and being like chopped up and stuff. And he would go film them just because, like, just to see if he could, I guess, or he was making a documentary about the whole thing or something. But he was at the hospital this one time, and there was this guy that came in with like several gunshot wounds, and he filmed him like all the way until he died, like every second of it.
Whoa.
And yeah, and he just watched through the diopter, just like watched as the guy died. And he was like later on hanging out with some friends in a bar or whatever, and he was talking to him about what he had done and how he like filmed this guy dying. And they were like, "That's really gnarly. You should watch the footage. Like, you really should watch the footage. That's nuts." And he's like, I'm dreading it. I don't want to, but I feel like I have a responsibility to watch the thing that I shot. Like, I have to do that. So he like had the film developed. He sat down, turned it on, and immediately felt like sick and was like crying profusely, and just like he just lost it. Like the impact of the thing that he had done like hit him, And he said that was a moment where he realized that like the actual image has more power than you would expect. Like the actual image of like movies, like seeing something gritty and real on a on a film, like film projected, has a certain effect on you that feels more real than real, kind of, in a way, because he was literally there and watched it happen. It had no effect on him, but actually watching the footage really had a profound effect on him. So that was kind of the stylistic nexus for how he approached Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because he was like, I'm gonna film this stuff in an unflinching way, and then like subject people to it. Like they're gonna have to watch this like hyper reality that I create. But that's a really interesting story, and that's kind of his origin story in a weird way. Like that's how he got into making films. Yeah, because he started out just doing documentary stuff, I think, but later on moved into making narrative films, and that was kind of the linchpin for him to do that. So yeah, no, I really love Tobe Hooper. Did you know that in his like last year of his life, his like wife was abusing him or something like that? Yeah, he was being abused, and then he died, which is horrible. I wonder if they have anything to do with each other. Yeah.
Remember when we worried about this maybe getting sad?
That's a good point. Yeah, he was 74 when he died. It was June 1st is when he was admitted to the hospital of this year, because his 36-year-old girlfriend beat him up.
Oh.
Horrible.
Jesus.
Yeah. And then what? He died in August, so that's not good. Anyway. Let's talk about something fun now. Get over this nightmare. Yeah. Somebody in the chat mentioned that Tom Savini was a combat photographer in Vietnam. I did not know that. That's very interesting. It seems like a lot of horror, like the horror guys, came out of like post-war wanting to like photograph the atrocities of war through the lens of like home soil or whatever. I think it's kind of interesting. Somebody should write a think piece about how the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is secretly a film about war. That's just a theory. I make jokes, but I'm probably going to have to do that now, aren't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's amazing how like people look at the story of Ed Gein and it's how it's split from like one story is Psycho and then the other story is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it's just like two different sides to the one person. And a lot of people are like, look at this monster, or look at this disgusting sort of being who is I don't know, who's a lot more oh, I can't even think of the word now, but
I think
you know what I mean. It's like more intelligent and is dangerous, but he wasn't. He just dug up women that resembled his mom, and
I think maybe part of it is in the like idealization of that scenario versus like what it actually was. So like in Hitchcock's 60s, at that time, like the concept of Ed Gein and all that, it was kind of probably censored to a pretty strong degree. Like they didn't want people to know that he was like literally like eating people's brains and shit. So they probably kept that more or less out of the public consciousness. But by the time it got around to like Tobe Hooper, and that time, it was like, no, this is what he was doing. Like it wasn't.
Yeah.
He wasn't just like a crazed killer madman. He was like he was fucked up, like really fucked up.
Yeah.
So then the approach changed. I don't know. Maybe
Mhm.
maybe the time period has something to do with it, but I don't really know. That'd be an interesting think piece as well. Someone should write about the influence of Ed Gein on horror movies and how did that transition throughout the year. That'd be pretty good.
Well, I thought like the whole Texas Chainsaw Massacre thing was like, let's show the real so real that it's surreal. Like,
Yeah, for reality.
I would still try to go for a PG rating.
Yeah. Yeah, which is it. I mean, it is interesting how there's like how a lot of the stuff in Texas Chainsaw Massacre isn't very gory or is very like it's violent more in concept than it is in execution.
Mhm.
Which there's actually a really interesting thing with that too, where like back when films were being made at this time, there wasn't really home video, and so films more or less were being shot on, well, especially indie films were being shot on really cheap film stock that looked really grainy, and you couldn't really make out what was on screen. So when they actually displayed them in theaters, they didn't have a very clean presentation. Like they didn't look super great, and a lot of the shots just weren't very good. Like they just didn't, they weren't into focus, and there was a lot of issues with them. But the thing is that ended up inadvertently making the film scarier because people had no idea what they were actually looking at, so it was like implied what they were looking at. So like a lot of critics at the time thought it was like the goriest movie they'd ever seen, and they were like, it's trash exploitation gore movie or whatever. But it wasn't. We can see it now in like 4K restoration and look at it, and we know that it's like not that gory, but they thought it was because they just couldn't see, and it gave them the impression that it was like more fucked up than it actually was, which is kind of interesting. And something that we don't have anymore, like that kind of thing. We don't really have that anymore. Now everything has the cleanest, nicest presentation of possible. Even like some trashy like found footage movie that's like shot on a potato. You go see it in a theater and it's still like 4K, like huge projection, and you can clearly see everything. It doesn't have that same sort of, vibe.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Hello, Nefarious Demonology, who was in the chat and has now decided to join us. Wow, we talked about slasher movies for a while.
I mean,
Has anybody... What's up?
Oh, I just mean slasher movies are good.
They are, yeah. Has anybody played the Friday the 13th video game?
I have, but I much prefer Dead by Daylight, personally.
I also prefer Dead by Daylight, but at the same time, no, I definitely prefer the Friday the 13th game in some respects, because holy shit, that game is fucking trash. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing. But I like how, in a certain way, they've kind of doubled down on it being trash, and now it's just like, yeah, it's just horrible. It's just such a horrible thing. I like the Friday the 13th movies because they make me feel like sleazy and like cynical and really trashy. So when I play the game and I feel trashy too, then I'm like, oh, they've achieved the game. Like that's what it's. They nailed it. Yeah, no, that game is fucking crazy. I played it over at a friend's and could not believe it. It's amazing. But yeah, I like Dead by Daylight a lot.
Yeah, I have over like 210 hours onto that game because I have nothing better to do.
Wow. It's totally fine. Yeah, that's me with like Battlegrounds. I don't know why I play so much that game, but I do. I try not to play video games very much because it detracts from me having time to actually work on things. Like it's hard because some days, you know, you finally catch a break and you're like, I want to play some video games, but you're like, no, I need to work. Like I need to get these videos done. I've loaded myself up with like so many videos that it's like a constant stream of like when I finish one, I'm like, oh, time to get to work on the next one. So yeah, like I'm finishing up one right now, and we're hoping to have it done by the end of the week. I mean, we're on track to have it done by the end of the week. My editor is editing around the clock to try and get it done. And I have my segments shot, and I need to cut them together, but almost done. And then the second that's done, actually not even the second it's done, I was thinking about starting it before I finish the other one, but I have another video that I need to get going on. Like I need to go ahead and record the voiceover for and all that. I just finished that last night, the script. So there's that. Then, you know, I was debating whether or not to make something on Mother. I don't know if I care enough now. I think that the time may have passed. I'm not sure. I just kind of, yeah. I was gonna do a just a little like, you know, vlog bit on how the movie is as an open for interpretation film in which you don't know any of the interpretations. It's actually pretty cool, and there's a lot to get from it. But the second you learn what the true interpretation is, it just kind of kills it, and so you have to actively try to ignore the creator's intentions in order to actually enjoy the movie. So that was what my video was going to be about. And I have a script. It's right here. There it is. But I sat down to shoot it, you know, the other day, and I was like, I don't know. Is this? Do I really want to do this? Like, I've got so much stuff to do. Does anybody actually care about this? I don't know. So I might do something with it. I might not. I haven't figured it out yet. I'm not even sure I have enough time. But we'll see. I might. I mean, I have a script already. That's the longest. That's the most time-consuming part, other than like editing the stuff.
Yeah.
But so we'll see. And then I have a Q&A that I have written as well. That's not, the script isn't out here. It's in my home. But that is a thing that I need to shoot as well and edit. So that's Mother, Q&A, finishing up the video that we're working on right now, which is about an hour long, I think.
Oh, wow.
And then, yeah, been working on it all month. Well, like, people have been asking me, you know, what happened to you? You put out the little It vlog at the beginning of the month, and then nothing, you know. It's like, oh, I've been working. Don't worry. You know, like, I've been on it. It's just, like, the biggest thing I've ever made. So
it's the Bricks Bear thing where it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, you finally put something out, and they're like, oh, wow. We're not going to complain anymore.
Yeah, probably that. Yeah.
Or we're going to complain immensely because it's not what we wanted.
Welcome to YouTube.
Note 2017.
My God, couldn't you have summed this up in 5 minutes?
So, but that hour-long video, I think it's going to be pretty good. It was fun. We actually were able.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, we were actually able to achieve a wide shot, like, of both. Like, I got a wide enough lens to get both me and the skeleton in the shot at the same time, which is, like, I post that on Patreon, like, there's still from that. But that's awesome. I like how that looks. It feels like we're in the same room together finally. So that's cool. And we're probably going to be shooting like that for the rest of the time being, because it is really nice when I'm like looking over the edit. So there's that, but then there's this one that I finished last night, which is like 28 pages of script, which that roughly translates to probably about 40 minutes. 45 minutes or so. So there's a good chance that the video following this hour-long video is going to be like 45 minutes. So I'm going to die. That's okay. I don't care. Like, I'm fine with it. But yeah, it is interesting. I've been trying to juggle like doing all the YouTube stuff with. I'm also in an art history class. I'm working with a film history class, and then there's a cinematography class that I'm part of as well. So it's like lots of stuff going on all the time. So yeah, but
That's
Sorry,
cool.
guys, I'm gonna have to go for a few minutes.
okay, that's fine. See ya. Oh, he left. Bye.
You got your permission and just booped out.
Yeah. Nefarious demology asks if I can give my opinion on Nightmind's How to Make a Web Series set of videos. I think there's some good information in there. I haven't seen all of them. I watched the introductory video and I watched the green track. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that the green track one was pretty helpful. I like the idea that he presents where he's saying that like ideas come from kind of unlikely places, like nowhere, kind of, you know, ideas just kind of come when they get there. I like that, and I'm glad that he put that into it, because I think that like we've mystified the creative process to such a level that I think that a lot of people honestly don't know how to think about these things. Like, you know, a lot of people just assume either you just start one day and there it is, like you're doing the thing, or you have to think a long time about your ideas and like pre-produce your ideas to death. So I think it's kind of neat that he was just like, you never know when your idea is going to get here. Like, you know, just I don't know if he said anything about like writing every day, like in the importance of like writing every day or whatever, but I find that to be pretty crucial nowadays. Like I write every day, like 1,000 to 2,000 words a day. You like have to do that if you want to get really, really good at writing, because like you have to know how to just kind of dump out words, and that's a really hard thing to do. So that's interesting.
Yeah, it's like I support Nick on Patreon as well, and I'm a writer myself. I really like to write like short stories, even though I don't really produce them or put them out in public or anything. It's my kind of thing, and I am also interested in the whole like, not necessarily cinematography, but mostly like how to produce like videos and stuff like that, because I've done like editing, I guess, but not to a degree to make like a web series or anything or a short film. But I don't know, it interests me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a generally interesting field. I think that it's something that's both at one time, it's actually, I would say that it's shockingly easy to get into, but disgustingly difficult to master.
Yeah.
It's very hard to get good at it. I mean, it took me 4 years to get where I am now, and I still have qualms with everything I do. Like, every time I do something, I'm like, wish I could have done this, you know, every time. Or every time I'm thinking, like, man, I don't know if this is, you know, or is this going to be the one where everybody hates me now? You know, you always worry about that.
Yeah, it's sort of like filmmaking and cinematography for that matter. It's like anyone can pick up a camera and start editing something, but it's an entirely different matter to make it look good.
Right. To know why, like to know the intricacies of how to do that. You know, you can't just go out. That's why like a lot of filmmakers are like, you need to go out and get a red camera and just start making stuff. And it's like, no,
it's
don't do
a lot more than that.
So much more than that. Like, yeah.
You can't ICP your way through movies all the time. Except if you have Rudy Ray Moore, then you can do that. But
yeah. Do you guys know about the ICP movies?
I've heard of them, but I would rather not see them.
I am new to this whole thing. I've never heard of the ICP movies.
I've seen like the covers on Netflix, and I just sort of stared at them. I was like still in high school back then, but it was just surreal.
Yeah, well, I love movies. Them. I think they're great. They're what they are is they are trash epics. They are trashier than anything I've ever seen. I don't even think I'm kidding. I think they are literally the trashiest movies I have ever seen. Like the first one, Big Money Hustlers, is about there's a pimp cop played by a clown man, and the pimp mob boss clown man, and they're against each other, or whatever. And there wasn't really a script. Like they had a line out of like all the scenes that would happen, but they didn't like plan out how they were going to actually shoot anything or like what dialogue was going to be said. Like they just went right off of a book almost immediately. So you've got this situation where they were making a movie without a plan, like on 35mm film.
Dolomite movie, and Dolomite actually had a script.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Dolomite had a script. It's a doozy of a script, but they have one. I mean, like not Big Money Hustlers though. They were like, we can just wing it, and they did. 35mm. And then they didn't pay the crew.
Wow.
And yeah, so the crew quit like 3 times. Pretty fucking funny. And then like having learned from all their mistakes, they decided to come back and do a sequel to Big Money Hustlers called Big Money Rustlers.
But it wasn't a sequel, it was just a completely different quote-unquote movie.
It was actually a prequel set in the West.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. Pretty good. Pretty good.
I never thought I would hear about the fucking ICP movies again in my lifetime.
I was thinking about making a video about it. I have on multiple occasions written a script for a Big Money Hustlers / Big Money Rustlers video. But every time I run into these issues where I want to talk about, like, I get too wrapped up in talking about the politics of the movies because they're very complicated, let's say. Like, and I don't want, I think that what I should be talking about is more the like strangeness, because I think the strangeness is really interesting. But I get so wrapped up in like the politics of the whole thing that I end up not like getting where I want to go with it. So maybe in the future I'll write the perfect script. The thing is, the script I'm writing that I just finished, the script I just finished was something I'd been working on for a while, and I never felt like I could really get the angle right. Like I could never get exactly the thing I wanted to say said about the thing. And then I don't know why, I was just I was watching interviews with John Mouse, who's a musician. And there's a bit in one of his things where he's talking about criticism, and he's saying that criticism is like lost its way. And I largely agree. Where he's saying that like we're so stuck on this idea of like, tell me what's good, tell me what's correct about a piece of work, instead of telling me what's interesting or strange about it. Like, what's strange about the thing that you like, you know? Usually when you're responding to something in a film, you're responding to the strangeness of it, and you know how it. You're not responding to. You're not responding to the. How do I put this?
You can do it.
You're not responding to the cliches, right? So there's like, you know, there's two ways to look at things like cliched storytelling. It's like, do you get angry at the cliche, or do you ask yourself how the film uses the cliche in a weird way? Like, you know, what's interesting about the way that it's using it? You know, so it's like two different perspectives on that thing. It's like trying to understand the media versus just assuming, oh, it's, you know, it's bad because there's like a cliche or whatever. But a lot of times with work that's really weird, it's kind of hard to talk about it in a way that isn't, oh, it's just really weird, you know? Be able to say more than that. You want to be able to say, this is what's weird about it, and this is an interesting takeaway, but I hadn't really realized exactly the thing that I wanted to take from it and translate into my script about the video or about the film. Like, the one thing that I was like, this is the takeaway right here. Like, this is what I want people to think about with it. So when I reduced it down to that, I was able to write it just fine. But yeah, that's what I was trying to do there. And I think that now that I have that approach, I think I learned a lot by doing that. I think now my follow-up approach with whatever I do next, as long as it's also very strange. I don't want to keep doing controversial things like, you know, like the fucking ICP movies. If I defended the ICP movies, you know, that's fucking hard, you know, especially after like the other stuff I'm defending lately. Like people are gonna get mad and they're gonna leave. They're gonna be careful.
Well, with the ICP
but also at
movies,
the same time,
they're
it's like
defensive and offensive.
Yeah. So
Like I think you were saying like in the Discord the other day, like the one movie was shot on 35mm, and I was just like, I didn't even know that. Like,
wow.
Like they like really stared at the camera, and I felt so sad for that camera because they were just like really breaking that fourth wall, and I was just like, oh, that poor fourth wall.
Yeah.
It's okay. You'll do better.
It's like a fucking YouTube vlog. Like that movie, Big Money Hustle. They talk to the camera more than they talk to other fucking characters in that movie. It's so crazy. This predates vlogs, you know. So, did ICP invent the vlog? You know, did Hank Green like watch the ICP movie and go, "Oh, now I know what I'm gonna do"? You know, I don't know. It's pretty amazing though. Pretty funny. So those are interesting things that I might have to cover in the future. Yeah. You know, I just think in my previous draft of it, I got far too deep into like what Juggalo culture was. I was like, these are movies made for Juggalos. What's a Juggalo? I don't know. Here, let me try to explain. And when I started getting into that, it was like, uh-oh, this isn't good. Like, I've lost my way. Why am I talking about Juggalos and not talking about the fucking movie I'm watching? So, yeah. So that's
you
like...
should have been like, don't ask, and then just like move to the movies aside. Just
yeah.
to
Like, let's talk about yeah, I think
talk about that another day.
Right. I mean, I think that on one level, it's like, yes, Juggalos are a these movies are 1000% for Juggalos, like no one else. Literally no one else. It says it on the back of the tape. Like,
except for trash connoisseurs.
yeah, but on the back of the tape for Big Money Hustlers, I have it on tape. It says this movie is for juggalos only. So it's like they know that no one else will get it. You know, they know no one else will be okay with it. So, but the thing is, like, if I was able to somehow talk about it out of the context of like juggalo culture, I think that'd be really interesting. I also don't want to piss off juggalo culture because I'm scared they might kill me.
Are there many juggalos in Texas?
Yes, Dallas is a clown town.
Clown town.
Clown town. I've met so many juggalos in my life. Oh, fuck.
Thank God I haven't met any in Austin yet.
I'm sorry?
Thank God I haven't met any in Austin yet.
Oh, yeah. So you're in Austin? Yeah. Dallas is like a garbage heap, so that's where they all are.
I mean,
I have family that live like right outside of Dallas.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Cool. Yeah, me too. Right outside of Dallas.
They're like, we got to get out of here. Too many juggalos. They just fall out of the
Not here for juggalo negativity. Well, like, it's not juggalo negativity as much as it's just like
juggalo fascination.
Yeah, well, it's the truth of the thing. Like, you know, I've met a lot of juggalos in my life, and they, like, in my experience, they do live in like very, you know, low income areas. Like, I don't know if that's some sort of through line with them because of like, are they attracted to the culture because they grew up in like a low income area, or is it like the opposite? You know, I don't know. I don't judge, you know, people for liking music. Like, I don't give a fuck if they like music. I do know that, you know, having known a lot of people in the culture, they do get very angry if you criticize them. So I don't, like, if I was to make a video about the thing, I would try my best to not criticize them very much, or not even really do any sort of real criticism of the thing. I just want to, you know, talk about this fascinating, weird thing that exists. So before you think that I like hate juggalos or something, I have no problem with juggalos. Like, you know, I'm totally cool with everybody. But it's, I mean, except for like Nazis, like I'm not cool with Nazis.
As it should be.
I realized as I was talking, I realized that I'm cool with everyone, and I was like, wait a minute, no, I'm not. So anyway, the point is, you know, you do you, boo. Yeah. And of course, like, a movie is not indicative of a culture, so it's not like, you know, if I criticize the movie, I'm criticizing juggalos. I'm not, you know, it's like talking about the movie. But anyway, we could talk about something else. I'm sorry, Leaf Demon. I'm sorry that I upset you with my careless attitude towards talking about juggalos. So you're all welcome in my free house.
Talk about Dolomite.
Oh yeah, Dolomite. The greatest movie ever. Have you seen these films? Have any of you seen the Dolomite films?
I have never even heard of them.
They're amazing. Rachel, you've recently seen them, right?
I've seen the Dolomite one, and I think I've seen Tokyo Godfather or whatever, or not Tokyo Godfather, Disco Godfather. Look how different.
Anime.
Yeah, the Tokyo Godfather. The disco.
That would be amazing if you did that. And it was just like him, like kind of like Ghost Dog, but it was like
right.
Disco
Godfather.
Yeah, I made Ben watch. I made Ben watch all the Dolomite movies. I don't know if you've seen Human Tornado, but I made him watch Dolomite and Petey Wheatstraw and stuff in Discord. I was like, you got to watch these and talk about them, and they blew his mind. They blew his mind. They're the best movies. Like the first one is like inept and like, for lack of a better term, it's like so bad it's good. It's like the tenements of so bad it's good things where like there's bad action and you laugh at the bad action, you know? But the thing about it is it's like not like a normal bad movie because it's also really, really fucking weird. Like it's just so weird. You know, the main character, he doesn't get the bad guy in the movie at the end or in the middle or anywhere. He doesn't get the bad guy. He's kind of worthless. So whenever it cuts to the main character, like there's cops that are helping out or whatever, but whenever it goes to the main character, he's just either walking around being kind of the douchebag to everybody, or he's like basically doing slam poetry about the Titanic. Which is that's like a 15-minute chunk of the movie is him doing slam poetry about the Titanic, and then later on in the movie, he does slam poetry about like some sort of fable. I don't know. It's so weird. It's so weird. So the first one is really, really inept. The second one is like weirder and less inept. And then Petey Wheatstraw is not inept at all. It's actually like a full-scale production, great movie, good-looking movie. Everything about it is, you know, top-shelf stuff. On the other hand, it is the weirdest shit you will ever see in your fucking life. It's a movie about a guy who is killed. He's shot in the street, and he dies, goes to hell. In hell, he meets the devil, and the devil says, if you marry my daughter, then I'll let you go back to life. Like, you can be alive again. And he's like, okay, I'll marry your daughter or whatever. Just make me alive again. So he does. He comes back to life, and everybody comes back to life. And then they track down the person who, like, shot him, and they solve that mystery. Well, anyway, the devil comes back. And is like, okay, it's time to marry my daughter. And then he sees the daughter, and the whole joke of the movie becomes, uh-oh, she's ugly.
I was expecting that.
So for the rest of the fucking movie, he's just trying to avoid the devil because he doesn't want to see his ugly daughter. At one point, the devil bribes Dolomite, or well, Petey Wheatstraw, I guess. I don't know what his name is in this one, but I guess it's Petey Wheatstraw. That is the title of the movie. But anyway, he bribes Petey Wheatstraw to marry his daughter again by giving him unlimited like booze and just a room full of naked ladies, just like 30 naked women, and there's like a whole scene just devoted to that, and you're like, oh my god. And then at the end, of course, they kung fu fight. It's a great movie. It's the best movie. My god. But anyway, yeah, those are really good. And then Disco Godfather, I remember being surprisingly inept again. Like it goes back to being kind of not very good movie, like quality wise, like inept in its filmmaking. But I can't remember. I need to sit down and watch all those movies again. But anyway, what else are we talking about? We talked about ICP. Talked about all the staples of conversation. Talked about Toby Hooper and his depressing life. Yeah.
May his soul rest in peace.
What's up?
May Toby's soul rest in peace.
Yes, yeah. I miss him a lot. I really loved him. So it's depressing. I do want to make a video about Life Force eventually. I have all these I have a list of shit that I want to do. Like, I should probably do the Dolomite movies at some point. I mean, they are really, I really do love them. You know, I got to do those ICP videos one of these days. And then, you know, one of these days, it's pretty good stuff. It's kind of hard to not talk about that. And then, you know, Life Force. Got to do Life Force.
You gotta talk about XXX3.
Yeah, I gotta talk about Triple X3 is so amazing. Oh, fuck.
There's a smile.
Yeah, holy shit. That movie.
Your trash baby.
Yeah, it's my trash baby at the moment. That movie is fucking amazing. Everybody shit on it. Everybody and their mom shit on it. The second it came out, everybody was like, "Oh, this is the trashiest shit," and it is. But holy shit! I've never seen a movie go like a studio action movie go that far out. It's like a John Woo movie. It's so crazy. The movie starts with Vin Diesel riding his skateboard down a fucking mountain.
I think he was like lushing down there too. Like it was either luge or skeleton. I can't remember.
Yeah,
he was either
yeah,
head
something
first
like
or feet first. But he was like flat on the skateboard, I think, and he was like, shoo.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's amazing. And that's not even the best. Like, that's how it starts. Like, the whole plot of the movie is geared around an evil bad woman who has a device where she can bomb. No, she can she can down a satellite and turn a satellite into a missile and fire the satellite at Earth.
So she can hack a satellite.
She hacks
She's
the
got hacking
satellite
powers.
and fires them at people. Like, that's part of the movie. That's the main threat of the movie, is her ability to hack satellites and hit people with them from the sky. And of course, who could possibly stop this but, you know, Vin Diesel. And his ragtag team of like Ruby Rose is in the movie as a sniper lady, and she's great. And I don't even know. There's so much weird shit. There's one point where they're in motorbikes that they just find somewhere. Like, they just find motorcycles somewhere, and they start fighting on motorcycles. And then like they start going closer and closer to the water, and they're like, "Oh no, motorcycles can't ride on the water, they're gonna die," or whatever. No. They turn into like fucking boat motorcycles.
Ski-doos?
And they go across what's that?
I said sea-doos?
Yeah.
They turn into
They turn into sea-doos, and then they like continue to fight on motorcycles over the water. Like, it's so fucking crazy. That movie is incredible.
It sounds like
anyway,
a spy movie that
that
was like trying to be a James Bond sort of thing, where it's like something like, okay, well, what would be a gadget that Q would give James Bond if he was a cool action star?
Right, yeah. Sea-Doo.
Yeah. Let's give them ducks.
Motorcycle. Yeah. Oh man, I totally forgot. There was like the one point where they're in the plane, and there's like the military guys, and they're like, "Xander Cage, you don't look so tough," and he's like, "Fuck you," and then he like hits a button, and the back of the plane opens, and all of the military personnel go flying out the back of the plane.
He basically like murders the military personnel.
It's like my kind of cheese.
Yeah, holy shit. You just like kick down the whole military in one go. You know, a lot of people were really hyped about Fast and Furious 8, and how crazy that was going to be, and how crazy that was. And let me tell you, I was too, and I loved it. But like, my money's on Triple X3. That's good. Well, it's like action movies this year have been there's either like it's like a dichotomy between the art stuff and the trash stuff. So like the trash stuff has been like the high trash, like the good trash. You know, Triple X3, you know, Fate of the Furious. I mean, there were more. I have more examples.
But those are the two main ones in your head right now.
Yeah, and then there was like the art stuff, like John Wick 2, which is, you know, about a guy like losing his soul in his industry and whatever, which is interesting. And then Atomic Blonde, which is like a movie that takes down the entire like world government involvement in the Soviet, or not the sorry, the Berlin Wall like crisis, that whole thing. Like it's an action movie that tackles that. Like, whoa, big thing. Huge, crazy, awesome.
Manson music.
What's up?
Featuring Marilyn Manson music.
Oh yeah, always. Because the director has a thing for him. I don't know. It was in John Wick as well.
Yeah.
Very strange. He likes his like bluesy stuff now. I don't know. It's weird. But yeah. So it's like this dichotomy between like trash baby action movies being awesome and art movies, like art action movies being awesome, and it's just like action movie of the year. I don't know, horror movies have been doing good too this year. Like Trash Babies, we got it. I mean, Brain Quest just came out, and I'm sure it's amazing. It ain't no Wish Upon, which is my trash baby at the moment. Fucking amazing. But then like, you know, we have stuff like Get Out and stuff like It. Yeah, I mean, great stuff. Like taking horror movies like really seriously, not like making them trashy or just not seeming, you know, not really caring about that. No, they show an honest sign of actually caring, and that's really interesting. So the genre films this year, you know, action, horror, great stuff. Really happy with this year. And I know for a fact that a lot of people are going to say, oh, 2017 was a shitty year for movies, like, you know, as they do always. And I'm, you know, because the big art stuff wasn't as art as the normal, but like the big important movies, you know, weren't as important or whatever. But my view on it is like, it was a great year for movies. We got genre movies came back in such a huge way. It's like, it's amazing. I'm really happy with the output of like film this year. So
there's Baby Driver and Brigsby Bear and
Brigsby Bear. There's a lot of good stuff.
Logan.
Oh yeah, Logan. God, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was really good. Man, yeah, there's just a lot of stuff.
Yeah. It's been a good year for media in general, really.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Video games have been a pretty big thing too. I don't know. I haven't played a lot, but a lot of indie stuff has been pretty neat.
Today's been a fantastic year for video games. As someone who plays a lot of them, like, it's just been absolutely wild.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, I know the re-release of White Day, PS4. I've been playing that for a while.
Oh, cool. I don't even know what that is.
It's a Korean horror game, I think.
Yeah, it's a remake of a Korean horror game from like the early 2000s.
All right, cool. That's cool. Yeah, man, I wish I knew more about that. I'm gonna have to look that up. Oh yeah, Twin Peaks. Holy shit.
Oh, of course.
Have I lost have I lost my spark? Like, what was that? The most important thing that happened to film in forever, and I don't care. I just forget about it completely. No, yeah, man.
I want David Lynch making Quinoa on Blu-ray. Just
Yeah, please.
frog moths.
That video is too good. Props to whoever decided they needed to do that. Thank God for that person. But anyway.
In like what was it? It was like 12 minutes when I have to go check on the quinoa. And it was like, okay, sir. And it's like, wait, what time is it now? Like after he starts his his long story, he's like, oh, we've got 2 more minutes. He's like, okay. A minute you can see on his face like, oh, do I have enough time for another story?
Yeah, and then it turns out he doesn't. He has to go check on the quinoa almost instantly. So funny. That shit is so good. But anyway, yeah, pretty good.
I love and appreciate David Lynch.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Damn it.
Peaks.
Well, no, I was gonna say that I've been reading stuff. I've been reading a lot lately. I read Stephen King's book on writing, which is interesting. I don't know if I agree with a lot of his approach, which is interesting to me because dude has written like monumentally more shit than I ever will in my life, and I'm over here being like, oh, I don't know if he's right, like I'm a big asshole and I hate myself. But no, I'm like reading it and I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about his approach to things. But it was an interesting read. There was some stuff in it that I thought was really helpful. I think he's got a really good grasp on how to edit yourself down. So his mentality on writing is pretty much just vomit everything out with no plan. Don't know what your story's about. Don't care about theme. Don't care about it. Any of that. Just blah. There's the draft, and then go back and you clean it up, which is kind of how I write things. But I always structure and plan my writing so that I'm vomiting in stanzas, as they say.
You just gotta get it all on paper, and then you clean it up afterwards. You come back with the mop later,
right
after you've and then clean it up.
But I think in a sense that's true about writing, where it is like, you gotta clean it up, and you gotta, like, the first draft is always messy and then you clean it up, but he puts it in a different terminology, where he's like, the first draft is for you to find the story. The second draft is for the audience to understand the story. So the first draft, it's just you trying to figure out what the hell you're writing about. And the second draft is now you know what you're writing about, so make everybody else know what you're writing about too. Which I agree with. I think that's kind of an interesting approach. Interesting book. Don't know if I would say it's like essential or anything. I think it's an interesting look at writing, but yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's worth reading if you get a chance. The other thing I read Dissolving Classroom, which is the Junji Ito, like the newest Junji Ito thing. I think he put out in 2015. It's good. It's really cool. It's really funny. It's his funniest stuff I've probably ever read, other than maybe Cat Diary. It's really funny. It's not so horror based as much as it's more like comedically based. And then last night, I finished Dissolving Classroom in like 2 hours or something. It was really short. But last night I started reading Tomei.
Oh wow!
Which I've never read. I know nothing about. I've never seen the movies. Nothing. So just started reading Tomei, and that shit is crazy. Tomei is crazy. Tomei is crazy. Holy shit! Like they give a girl like a kidney transplant, and the kidney becomes like a person with arms and legs, and then they like They like cut a girl open and they find a head in there, and then like they put the head in a jar, and the head turns into a full-grown lady, and the full-grown lady like goes around seducing all the men at the hospital, and it's like, what the fuck is this? Like, holy shit. Crazy. I was not prepared.
Welcome to Junji Ito.
Yeah. Yeah, I've read Uzumaki, I've read Cat Diary, Rachel's joined the call in addition to joining the call. Seeing us in 2 panels, but it's fine. Anyway, so like I've read Uzumaki, read Dissolving Classroom, read Cat Diary. I've read I've read a lot of his short stories. You know, everybody talks about the Amagari Fault. Amagari.
Yeah, the Fault of Amagari something.
Yeah. Well, I read that, and that's really gnarly. But Tomei might be his masterpiece. Like, Uzumaki's really great. I love Uzumaki. Everybody loves Uzumaki. But Tomei, I was immediately like, holy shit. I cannot believe that he's doing this. Like, he's going there with a lot of the stuff. And so that was really neat. So I'm glad I'm reading that. I'm juxtaposing that by also reading James Joyce's Ulysses, which I've had sitting on. I've been reading for about 2 weeks, and it's about 800 something pages, and it's stream of consciousness in an Irish dialect. So it's impossible to understand. Just literally impossible to understand. So that's a challenge. I don't know when I'm gonna finish that book, because every time I go to read it, I'll read like a chapter of it, and I'll be like, "All right, time for fun now." Time to read a comic book, you know. And I just feel like a big asshole when I'm like reading a comic book after putting down this high art piece. It's weird, but yeah, I don't know. It's all important, I guess, right, or something.
Yeah.
But like, geez, weird.
Have you heard of Memoirs of My Nervous Illness?
I have not. I don't even know what that is.
It's a book written by some judge in like 1890 or something, and the guy notices that he's slowly exhibiting like facets of going insane, and so he just writes his experience as he slowly goes more insane.
Wow, that's cool.
Psychiatric hospital.
Wow, what is this called?
Memoirs of My Nervous Illness, I think.
Oh yeah, I found it.
It was kind of a large part of psychology. Like lots of big psychology people have different thoughts on it and different interpretations.
They now believe that he suffered from paranoid schizophrenia.
Yeah.
Interesting. Might have to read this book. I'm gonna have to look for this. Okay. Challenge accepted. Memoirs of My Nervous Illness. Let's fucking do it.
Put that in my list.
Weird.
Yeah, throw that on the list. Is it on Amazon? No, not Memoirs of a Geisha. What the hell? Here we go. Whoa, there's some weird covers to this book. Somebody wrote an interpretation called the Schreiber case by Sigmund Freud. Oh, it's by Sigmund Freud. The cover of it is like a naked lady on a dude's face. It's fucking crazy. Yeah, indeed. Well, $15. I might have to.
It's pretty cheap on thrift books, by the way. You can get it for like $4.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Thrift books?
Yeah, I ordered it, and then my dad was like, "What the hell are you doing paying $15 for this?"
Wow. Sorry, I'm on a journey to find this book now, I guess. Yeah, it's $7.90 on here. It's pretty good. Heck. Oh, heck. I wonder what other...
Oh, jeez.
Anyway,
on.
I recently rewatched Star Wars Episode 1.
Oh boy.
Phantom Menace. I got very very tipsy with a friend, and we watched Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And it was a weird time. I forgot how weird that movie is. Yeah, that movie is just
Something else.
yeah, it's something else. I don't know. I was kind of under. I was of the impression that it got a bad rap for a very, very long time. Like, I was under the impression that it was.
It wasn't as bad as people were making it out to be, or
Well, I think people weren't engaging with it on a very understanding. Like, what the hell? You guys got two cameras going on down there.
I got one on my laptop and one on my phone. I'm really pleased with myself right now.
Oh my god. But anyway, yeah, I don't know if I would say that it got a bad rap so much as it just, people weren't talking about it through the proper lens, maybe is the way of saying it. I don't know.
I would agree with that.
Well, it's like the Plinkett videos, right? Like the Plinkett videos, while being like really impressive videos, like for the internet, it was important internet content. I rewatched them, and it's kind of surprising how much of those videos are pretty much like, here is movie making 101. Here's why the movie does not adhere to movie making 101. And it doesn't really make a lot of attempts at really understanding what the point, like the point of the decisions was. So it was kind of weird to go back and rewatch them and then try to figure out what the fuck George Lucas was thinking. Like, what was he trying to do with this movie? I've studied a lot of art history now, so I know a lot about like Baroque and Renaissance art, which is a terrible way to start a conversation about the Star Wars prequels. But it's interesting because a lot of shots of the Star Wars prequels directly reference Baroque and Renaissance art, like in the framing and the foreshortening, in the way that the lighting is, like the way that it all looks. And the weird thing about Baroque art is it exists in a time period in which the religious sect of the world kind of ran everything. So like everything came from like this sort of, for lack of a better term, bourgeoisie, like, you know, huge governmental body that was religion. So it was like this pretend pseudo utopian thing. And anybody that didn't adhere to these things, you know, there was inquisitors, and there were, you know, all these kind of awful things. So basically, in a sort of way, the Jedis in Star Wars Episode 1 are like inquisitors going around making sure everything is going well by the standard of the religious ruling party of the Republic, the Galactic Republic. I mean, they're literally monks that have swords, you know. Like, what the fuck? That's pretty blatant in what it's saying. And they go around, and there's a great moment in the movie where like Anakin is like, "Oh, you're a Jedi Knight. Have you come to free the slaves?" And then Qui-Gon Jinn says, "No, I have not." And that's, he didn't come to free the slaves. He came to fucking like police the taxation of trade routes or whatever. Like, he came on some boring, stupid mission, and then he discovers that there's like actual social issues going on this planet that he lands on, and he does nothing about it. Like, wow. I think that's actually really telling. But I think that it was interesting that I realized that like it's based on a lot of Baroque art, because Baroque is the period in history when the religious republic dominated pretty much the entire world, and it led to a lot of people leading really harsh, horrible lives and not dealing with the social issues that they were actually presented with, and not really advancing politically until later on, something came and changed all that, being, they realized how shitty they were being because like somebody stepped out of line and fucking killed everybody, which is pretty much what the Star Wars prequels are. It's like, the movies are the downfall of Anakin or whatever to becoming Darth Vader. But a lot of people are like, I don't care about how Anakin became Darth Vader, and it's true, but on a very specific narrative level, it's not really about Anakin becoming Darth Vader as much as it's about a person joining up with this republic of weird monk people who carry swords, and how that ultimately like fucks somebody up so bad that they turn to like being horribly violent. Like, that's pretty interesting. So are they good movies? I don't care. Like, I don't know. I don't care. But they are really interesting, like way more interesting than I remember. And I had all these thoughts racing through my head as I was horribly drunk. And boy, did it turn out great. We lost another one. But yeah. Well, it's 1:30. I've been doing this for about an hour and a half. Probably gonna go ahead and get back to work, actually. Should.
All right.
Yep.
Cool.
But yeah, we ended this conversation on the fucking Star Wars prequels. What the hell?
Yeah.
What the hell's going on? What universe is this? What year is this? Holy shit, is 2017 and we're still talking about the Star Wars prequels? Like, we haven't figured those out yet? Anyway,
There's so much there.
there really is. There's so much to think about. What does Jar Jar represent?
Exactly.
Next time on trying to talk about the Star Wars prequels. All right, guys. Well, I'll catch you later.
All right. See you.
Yeah. Bye.